Rocket pot. 8. I will tell you my method of making the head, or pot, as it is termed, of the rocket. You must have a piece of hard wood, turned of a shape like that indicated in the following woodcut, figure 18. The straight part of this should be about 4 inches long and a shade larger in diameter than the exterior of your rocket case. That is, about 1 1/8 inch in diameter, if you adopt the method of cutting up your imperial board and 70-pound brown paper given in this chapter. Now, take some moderately thick brown paper and cut it into strips about 5 inches in width and 8 in length. Each of these strips will be long enough to go twice round the pot former described above. When you have pasted as much of each strip as will not lie actually against the former, roll it up straightly and pinch in one end. You will thus have made a cylinder of paper, figure 19, closed at one end, the other end of which will fit nicely over the clay end of your rocket. This is the pot of the rocket, which is to contain your stars, rains, etc. Rocket cones. 9. You will next require a turned wooden former on which you can make paper cones of such a size at their base that they can be neatly pasted on the top of your pots. That is, the base of these cones should have the same diameter as the pots. Although such conical caps are by no means necessary, yet they are of very great assistance to the rocket in its ascent, enabling it to rise with much less resistance through the air. The cone former is represented in the annexed woodcut, figure 20. To make these cones upon it, cut out as many circular pieces of brown paper as you require, the semi-diameter of which must be slightly greater than the height of the cones that you have to make. Then cut or tear these circles into halves and paste them on one side. Now place the first half circle upon the former, pasted side outwards, taking care that the apex of the cone beat the point marked A in figure 21. Then fold the brown paper neatly round the cone former, and when you have made it to sit as closely to it as possible, proceed in the same manner with the other half circle, putting it upon the first, pasted side inwards. The paper cones thus made must next be covered with one thickness of thin paper, cut large enough to extend half an inch, or rather more, beyond the open end of the cone, and this projecting part, when notched all round with your scissors, can be pasted down round the top of the rocket pot. When this is done, the pot will present the appearance of annexed illustration figure 22. Rocket stars. 10. When all the pasting that has been necessary in making the pots is thoroughly dry, the filling them with stars is all that remains to be done for the completion of the rocket. You will find that the quarter-pound rocket will carry an ounce of stars well. After weighing out your stars, then into parcels of this weight, empty one of these parcels into each pot. You will next require some sort of powder to strew among the stars, which shall have the effect of igniting them and at the same time of bursting the pot. I have always found meal powder by itself to be too rapid in its explosion to convey the fire to all the stars. Many of them are blown out of the pot, never taking fire at all. The mixture which I should recommend you to use is the following: meal powder 6 parts, fine charcoal 1 part. Charcoal added to the meal powder in the above proportion will render its combustion slow enough to light all the stars, without being too slow to burst the pot. Of this mixture take a ladleful, I mean the ladle which you use in filling your cases, and put it with the stars into the pot, which must now be securely glued over the clay end of the rocket case. Rocket stick. 11. Lastly, the rocket stick remains to be considered. This appendage is used for the purpose of keeping the mouth of the rocket downwards, so that if it move at all, its motion must be an upward one. The rule for telling whether the stick be of the proper weight or not is the following. After having tied it on to the rocket in the manner indicated in the page of illustrations, ascertain whether it will balance if laid across the finger about 2 inches from the mouth of the rocket. If the stick forms an exact counterpoise to the rocket at this point, it will answer your purpose very well. The length of the stick which I use for quarter-pound rockets is 4 feet, and its size about 3/8 by 1/8 inch. The best wood for these sticks is American pine. It is very light, and should be free from knots. You will be able to procure them much cheaper of Mr. Darby, and much more uniform in their make, than of any carpenter. In some old treatises upon pyrotechny, you will find recommended a tapering rocket stick, to the large end of which the rocket is tied. I have never found any advantage which these sticks possess over those that are of one size throughout, and I think I may say that no professional pyrotechnist uses tapering rocket sticks. On the annexed page of woodcuts, figures 23 to 26, I have given you a sketch of the rings which I use, through which the rocket stick must be passed, and from which the rocket is to be fired. These rings should be screwed into an upright post, figure 27. These rings should be screwed into an upright post, figure 27, standing 5 feet out of the ground. The upper ring near the top of the post, the lower about 3 feet from the ground. There is also a sketch, figure 28, to show you how the rocket is to be suspended on this post. I have stated above that there are 2 ways of priming rockets. The one used for exhibition purposes I have already described. Rockets thus primed are fired by applying a lighted port fire to their mouth. The other method I have found very convenient when making trials either of rockets or of stars, for it enables you to get some distance from the rocket post before the rocket rises, and consequently to gain a much better view of the object of your experiment. It is done in the following manner. Paste or tie a piece of touch paper round the mouth of the rocket, which shall project an inch, or rather more, beyond the mouth. Then take a piece of uncased quick match about 2½ inches long, and put it into the sole of the rocket, leaving so much of it outside the choke as can be twisted into the projecting part of the touch paper. If this is done so as to leave a short twist of touch paper beyond that part which contains the quick match, you will gain a short interval of time between the moment of lighting the rocket and that of its ascent. You can procure of Mr. Darby the cases ready-made, and, in fact, anything employed in firework manufacture. But I strongly recommend you to learn to make the cases yourself, as you will then be not only much more independent, but also much more economical in your work. Let me recapitulate a little and add a few hints to remind you of certain points important in rocket manufacture. Do not hurry over any part of the work, either the making the cases, or the composition, or the ramming of the rockets. In moistening your composition with spirits of wine or gin, be careful to add very little of the liquid and to stir the composition about very thoroughly until all the moisture that is present is very equally diffused. Remember that the addition of nitre or meal powder to your composition will render it more rapid in combustion, the addition of sulfur or charcoal more slow. By this means you can vary the strength of your rocket composition to any degree which proves successful or satisfactory in your hands. By no means forget to bore a hole through the clay at the end of your rocket, and thus to form the communication with your stars. Never allow your steel spindle to become rusty. Every coat of rust that you have to scour off from it diminishes the size of the spindle. Remember that the work that is done neatest is always done best.